Hello, and welcome to the Grow Patiently podcast, where we speak to different healthcare practitioners and business owners and career leaders and learn all about their stories, what it is that they've done to get to where they are, and what it is that really makes them tick in the industry. And I'm going to throw straight over to Joe, my guest, to introduce himself briefly.
Howdy, I'm Joe Dahlin, Dr. Dahlin. I'm a podiatrist, a foot and ankle specialist out of Grand Junction, Colorado. I was born outside of Chicago, Illinois. I have a 4-year medical school for podiatry and then a 3-year surgical residency, foot and ankle, out of Rush University in Chicago, and moved out to the western slopes of Colorado in 2015 to practice podiatry outside of residency.
Thank you, Joe. What an introduction. Far better than I could have done. So thank you. So to you listeners, before we get started, I'm really, really excited about welcoming Joe because he's really passionate about the healthcare system in the US, as many people are. And I see a lot of similarities for those of you who've heard my story a bit about the education system in the UK that I used to work in, and I was frequently frustrated with, to the point that I actually ended up leaving. So we're going to dig right into that essentially. But before we start, I do have a little bit of quick housekeeping, which is that we're the Grow Patiently podcast. You can find out more about us from growpatiently.com, but we do have one slight quirk, which is this tax that if you are a listener and you're listening to this podcast and you pick up just one thing that you like, one thing that interests you, or one thing that you've learned, then you must pay the tax. And that is simply this: you just pass this episode on to one other person. I know for definite you're in some kind of WhatsApp or online group. Just take the link and send it straight over to them. That's the tax. Simple as that. So let's get started. Joe, I always like to ask this question, which is that all the lovely people who've come on the podcast have been so welcoming with their views and their different thoughts that they have, that I started to have this idea that one day I would like to go on a podcast recommendation tour of all of our guests. And so I'm going to ask you, Grand Junction, Colorado, if I do my tour one day and I get to your location, what have I got to do to experience it like the locals? What can I skip? What must I do?
Well, I would say there's not as many locals as there used to be. We have people from all over the world now that live in Grand Junction. There's people moving from all over the US, California, Texas, Florida, Midwest, East Coast, West Coast. And so, for instance, I have a patient that's flying out to China next week, and I asked them, why do they live here? And they said, because it's the best place in the world. Grand Junction's awesome. It's awesome. It's 65,000 to 70,000 people, so the population's not huge. You have access to Moab, 90 minutes away. You have access to the Rocky Mountains, about an hour, hour and a half away. You can be in snow. You can be in desert. Our weather's great. You have two major rivers that conjoin here in Grand Junction. Hiking is exquisite. Mountain biking is exceptional. You have skiing less than an hour away. Camping. Basically, if you like outdoor enthusiasm, you like nature, you like open spaces, you don't like major congestion, you like to explore, you like to be active and healthy, then Grand Junction's a place for you. If you like food and restaurants, we're developing a lot of that these days too, which is nice.
Nice. Okay, well then I'll make sure I bring my hiking boots and do that one.
Absolutely. So Colorado National Monument is in Grand Junction, the Colorado National Monument. And then the biggest flat top mountain in the world is
Really?
out our back door. It's called the Grand Mesa. It sits over 10,000 feet high and it has over 300 lakes on it with exceptional fishing and skiing, and that's 45 minutes away. And then one of the only mountain ranges in the world that runs from east to west is called the Book Cliffs, and that sits on the north side of Grand Junction. So we actually have three separate mountain ranges that encircle Grand Junction, which were a valley. So you have the Colorado National Monument on the southwest side, you have the Book Cliffs running east to west on the north side, and then you have the Grand Mesa that sits on the east side that we ski off or fresh water off of. And there's tons of fishing, and I mean, yeah, you can do everything out here. It's awesome. I ended up here by accident. I thought I was coming out here to ski, and then I realized I wanted to do everything else too. So yeah,
I love it. Oh, yeah,
it's
that's quite a
awesome.
different
Yeah.
lifestyle to oh, I think we're slightly cracking up a little bit, but can you hear me okay? I've got you frozen slightly.
We have a university. We have three hospitals, a university. I mean, it's scary.
Unfortunately, we're just losing a bit of sound there, Joe. I don't know if you can still hear me okay, but I've got you frozen on the screen right now.
There you go. Gotcha.
I can hear you, but I just see a screen of you smiling still. Interesting.
Yeah, I hear you, but we're frozen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you now, but let's see if you can maybe if you turn off and on your camera. What does it
There it
say about
is.
your,
Low network.
yeah, have you got that low network? Hmm. I,
Low net.
oh,
Are you running? Can you see me?
yeah, I can see you. Yeah. Oh, okay, you're back now.
All right. Let me close a couple of my X-ray documents down. That might be
It might
stalling
be the
things.
computer, it could be Wi-Fi.
Well, I'm looking at my Wi-Fi. I only have two of my 5 bars right there. Two of my 5 bars. Okay. So we'll see. We'll keep going. All right.
Yeah, that's
Can you
what you
see me? Can
get
you
for.
hear me?
I can see you and hear you. Okay, so we're back. Slight Wi-Fi issues there. We are going all the way across the world, and we're going to the the place of great nature, and therefore slightly less good Wi-Fi. All right,
That's
well, let's get
technology.
it.
Yeah.
That's the small price you pay. Right, let's get into it then, Joe.
Right.
So, yeah, I know you're so passionate about what you do, and so why don't you tell the people why is it that you feel so compelled to do what you're doing? What are you trying to change?
In the United States of America, I think you're going to struggle to find anybody who says that the healthcare system is great. There's studies that show we have a great healthcare system, but if you actually look at the cost of our healthcare system, if you look at diabetes, obesity, if you look at the number of prescriptions people are taking, if you look at how just chronically ill and how many comorbidities the US has, it's not great. And if you speak to a lot of people that are in this system, either trying to receive care or provide health care, the vast majority of people will agree that there are major systems and or flaws in the system. So for me, being 41 years old and spending most of my life training to provide medical care for people, being in a system that is more or less broken, that's not functioning well, where people are struggling to find good doctors that can get them well, finding difficulty accessing the care that they want. Once they access the care, they're having a hard time actually getting adequate time with the provider, and then really struggling to understand what it is that they're actually dealing with and all the options that they can choose from to get better. That doesn't really exist here. The way the United States works with medical system is you'll have to get a referral, and then you have to get a pre-authorization, then you have to call and get scheduled. Often there's weeks or months that you have to wait to see folks, especially if it's a specialist like myself. Some of us are booked a month or two out. At my old practice, I think I was seeing 20 to 30 patients a day. So even when you do get in to see that specialist, you're lucky if you get 30 minutes. Oftentimes it's 15 to 20 minutes, and then you're rescheduled for a month later. It's very piecemealed care. If you have more than one question or more than one concern, we can't deal with it. We don't have enough time. And I think that's wrong. I think if you look at the significance of healthcare, what's more important than your health? As I get older and as I have kids and as I've been practicing longer, I think health is the most important thing. Thank God that we have health. That's how I feel. And when I'm not well, if I'm sick or injured or can't work out or can't come to work because I'm not feeling well, it's pretty awful. Same with my kids. But we treat it like it's a business first and foremost. We treat it like it's a joke almost. It's primarily based on transactions and codes and insurance and and referrals and restrictions instead of actually treating it with respect and getting people in quickly and then giving them as much time as they need to ask whatever questions they have and make sure that we can thoroughly speak with this person, ask the questions that we need to ask as providers, and then make sure not only are we accurate with our diagnosis, but we also thoroughly explain to the patient what's wrong, why it's wrong, and what are all the things that they can do to get better. And we are not permitted time, not adequate time in the healthcare system here in the US to do that. So my goal is to provide a different option for patients to get well that is independent of the insurance healthcare system in the US.
Hmm. Yeah, it's pretty terrifying. I mean, I definitely agree with you about what is it, the classic phrase, health is wealth. But it's like I heard someone saying you've got 1,000 problems every day, but then when you're unwell, you've just got one problem.
Yeah.
And it's really true. And it's interesting all the things you say, because that's what it felt like for me in the education system. I mean, I really remember that we had like 34 kids in the class, and then the head or deputy head or someone just brought in two kids. This in the middle of the year. It was just like, there you go, Hugo. I have these two extra kids. And I was like, we don't even have an extra table or any extra chairs. So like, what do you want us to do here? And they were like, oh, don't worry, we'll get a couple of chairs. So these two people, brand new in the school, just stood by the side for like an extra 10 minutes until they brought two chairs and then off we go. I thought it was crazy. Anyway, so tell me, what's the answer then? What are you doing that's so different in your clinic? And I know you've got grand plans to continue to expand it to do even more. What's the plan?
Well, in terms of what I'm doing, it's time. Quality care takes time. Anything you do takes you can either be good, you can be cheap, or you can be fast. We focus on being very good and we focus on giving appropriate time, being fast in terms of getting patients in quickly, same day, next day. And then we spend as much time as we need to at the initial consult to make sure I can be as thorough as I need to be. So we offer 30, 60, or 90-minute consults for our initial patients, depending on their symptoms, how complex or how easy they are. That dictates how much time I need. It's like anything else. If you have 34 kids in a classroom or 1,000 kids in a classroom and I want you to teach all of them in 2 hours, good luck with that. It takes time to teach the child that doesn't understand what you're explaining to the other 33 kids that they get. It takes time for you to sit with that child and explain what it is that they're missing or be able to connect what you're trying to explain. It's not really any different in medicine. Plantar fasciitis is a pretty standard diagnoses. I can have most people with plantar fasciitis come in here, get them in and out pretty quickly. But that one kid that doesn't understand it, or the one patient that is not getting better or has a more complex issue, I need more time with them. I can't do it in 15 minutes or in 30 minutes. Or if they've had two surgeries or they've seen three specialists or they've had pain for years, if you want me to get you well quickly, I need time. I need to get you in quickly to prevent additional damage. And I need to get as much time as I need to thoroughly, completely work through my conversation with you, assess my x-rays, do my physical exam, and then properly communicate to you what is wrong and answer all questions so that when you leave, you're empowered to help make decisions because ultimately you're responsible for your healthcare. I just had that conversation this morning is when a patient comes to see me, I don't think there's two kind of patients. There's patients that come in and they want you to fix them. Hey, I want you to do a surgery or an injection or a prescription. Fix me now. Okay, I need 5 minutes. Point where and I'll put the needle in. Sounds good. That's one kind of patient. The other patient is coming in because they want to understand what's going on. They want to have a conversation. They want to understand it. They want to be part of the decision-making team. And they want me to help them understand what it is they don't understand. And that takes time. And that's what I kind of specialize in these days. I still do trauma. I still do surgeries. Those are more straightforward when that's the case. But most of the stuff I see is more sophisticated, a little more complex, like second, third opinions, multiple conditions, multiple surgeries. And at this point, I need to sit down and take as much time as I need to. I get x-rays of both feet. I get x-rays of both ankles. I'm very thorough, both with my analysis and with my explanation of what's going on. Once I empower the patient to get well, then they can go get well on their own. Because when a patient who's had pain for a year or two comes to see me and I spend 90 minutes with them or 60 minutes with them, that's great that I gave them 90 minutes or 60 minutes and educated them. But what a patient needs to understand is now they have the hard job. Now they have to take everything I've given them, all my recommendations and suggestions. They have to go do it for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the next month, the next week. They're the ones who are ultimately the ones who are going to have to be working harder to get better. And they need to understand what they're doing and why they're doing it so they can be compliant. So having the time with the patient ensures that both of us understand we're on a team together, and it's not just me getting you well, it's me helping you understand how you can get yourself well. And if I need to inject or cut or prescribe, I certainly can do that, and I do that with some regularity, but the goal is not to, because every time we do that there's potential complication.
It's so interesting. I mean, it's again, not to harp on about the teaching, but I always used to say that if you want to get the kids to get good results, which we always did, then you've got to get them to want to put in the effort for themselves. You know, they need to understand what they're doing and why, literally. Otherwise, if they don't understand why they're doing it, like they don't see that it could benefit them, then they're not going to do it. But if you can get them to do it, your job's really easy. You just take that time on the front in terms of building the relationship, and they'll do the work for you. So something I was thinking about asking you was, no doubt someone's going to be listening to this who owns a healthcare clinic, and they're thinking, oh, but time, we don't have that much time. Or maybe, oh, it's not possible, it's not viable. Or maybe they're thinking, I actually really want to give more time and I love what you're saying. How do I go about doing that? I suppose I'd be interested to hear what would you say to them? Because no doubt you had a similar situation yourself.
Well, my situation was unique in that I was coming out of a practice by myself, and I was in a position where I was going to be applying for jobs at a hospital, or I'd be opening up my own practice. And I didn't want to be working for a hospital. I have 3 kids, and being a father is very important to me. So I coach 2 of my kids in soccer. I drop my kids off. I pick them up often. Being a father is my top priority for me. My kids are important. So I was trying to design a lifestyle around that so I could be accessible to my kids. And I knew that being in a hospital wouldn't allow me the flexibility to be a father. And furthermore, I interviewed at a hospital 7, 8 years ago. And when I asked how many patients a day they wanted me to be seeing, they said 30 to 40 a day. So I knew that was not the type of healthcare system I wanted to be in. It did not allow me to spend the time I wanted with my patients. So then the option was, okay, well, I'm going to open a practice. Here in the US, insurance companies dictate what you get reimbursed for, and they have been cutting their reimbursement rates over the last 5 years. Yet our overhead has skyrocketed in terms of payroll and just all the other expenses, malpractice, insurance, and supplies, material, whatever. All of it has just skyrocketed while reimbursement goes down. And they keep increasing all of the mandates and all the pre-authorizations and all the billing and the coding and the notes. So your workload is going up, your expenses are going up, and your reimbursement is going down. Anybody who owns a business realizes that you cannot run a business with that model. You cannot run a business where somebody else dictates how much you can charge, but they also dictate how much you have to pay and what you have to do to get that pay. That's not a good system, which is why in the United States, most of our practitioners have moved into the hospital system and they are now employees. They're paid employees because running a business is almost impossible taking insurance unless you're a mega group. So for me, it was just, hey, you know what? I don't think I would feel like dealing with insurance companies. I don't have any negotiating power. I'm just one dude. I think I'm good at what I do. I really love what I do. I don't really care to retire in the next 5 or 10 years. And it wasn't about making as much money as I could. It was about providing the type of care that I wanted and being able to provide medical care for another 10, 20, 30 years if I'm blessed to do it. So I was trying to create the system that allowed me to provide the care that patients are not able to find. So I just hung my shingle. And when people called in, I just charged cash for my time, no different than an attorney. An attorney does not take any insurance, yet people pay to see attorneys every single day. But in the United States, we've been conditioned that, oh, if you want to go see a doctor, you have to use your insurance. Like, actually, you don't. You don't need to use your insurance. And if the doctor's really good, if the doctor is trying not to cut on you, trying not to inject, trying not to prescribe, if they're trying to educate you and be thorough, then you actually probably want somebody who's going to take their time. And if you pay for their time and you allow them to take however much time they need at the first visit, you're probably going to have less follow up visits. You're going to get better a lot faster. You're not going to have to go into a system where you need, I mean, I order so many less MRIs, CTs, imaging labs. I refer out and order so many less tests than I used to because I'm more thorough with my time. So I can ask questions and troubleshoot and physically evaluate on my own with my time. So ultimately, it saves patients money. So somebody who's looking to do what I do in terms of direct care medicine, anybody who's burned out with medicine, who's like, can I do that? It's pretty simple. You have to ask yourself 2 questions. Number one, are you really good at what you do, preferably exceptional? And I do think I'm pretty good at what I do. I love what I do, and I have pretty good training with it, and I feel like I help my patients a lot. So I do feel like I'm really good at what I do. The other thing is, do you love it? And I love it. I love what I do. I help people every day. I get them walking comfortably. I improve their quality of life. People seem to really appreciate what I do. So for me, if I'm really good at something and I really love it, then you're going to be successful. It's just a matter of trying to dial in how to do that. And that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. And we've kind of dialed it in at this point, which is nice.
Mm. Well, congratulations. Let's go
Thank
into
you.
that. Let's talk about how you've, kind of grown the business. I mean, for anyone who follows Grow Patiently, that's what we do. We work with healthcare clinics and we help them grow like largely online, but through various other means as well, AI now as well. And so we always have to go into that. Like, what are you doing to spread the word, increase the impact, make sure that people are actually learning? Because it's not necessarily about making more sales. It's about letting people know who are having difficulties with walking or, struggling with their lives to understand that this is actually an option for them where they can truly get help and truly get this issue sorted. How do you get that word out?
So we're actually doing a podcast right now. We have shot 3 episodes. We haven't released it yet. It's going to be called Friday After Clinic. So we'll shoot our podcast on Friday after clinic, and it's a podcast designed for direct care medicine. So anybody who's interested in direct care medicine, it's great for them to listen to that because it'll advise on what we do and how we do it. And it's also designed for foot and ankle patients. Anybody who has a foot and ankle issue or question, we will be taking questions and then commenting on that in our podcasts. And then it also is going to be looking at functional medicine and nutritional medicine. My partner, Dr. Moore, who's a podiatrist, also is going to be sitting for her boards next week for functional medicine nutrition, because I believe your feet and your ankles are the foundation of your house, your body. So if you have problems with your feet and ankles, that's going to translate up your entire body into your knees, your hips, your back, your neck, whatever else. So the foot and ankle for me is like the foundation. I love working on it. It's great. You can really stabilize people. But my partner, Dr. Moore, she's come to appreciate, in podiatry, we do a lot of secondary reactive work. We have a lot of diabetics that you amputate toes or you're having to fix things. And she's done that long enough where she's thinking to herself, wait a second, what are these people eating? What are these people drinking or not eating or not drinking that could be contributing to their symptoms? And can we fix it on the front end and have preventative medicine instead of waiting on the back end and amputating? So our podcast that we're coming out with is going to be a direct care medicine podcast that focuses on foot and ankle and nutrition and functional medicine. So anybody who has specific questions about any of those things, I'd encourage them to tune into and follow our podcast, which is going to be Fridays after class, and it'll be with Joe Dahlin and Anna Moore, and that's what we'll be talking about. Specifically in terms of trying to grow the message, I opened the practice September 7th, 2021 by myself. I had no employees. I didn't even know if this community would sustain it. Grand Junction's small. It's 65,000. And once you get outside of our county, there's really not much for about an hour in every direction. So pretty small area. It has slowly grown. And Dr. Moore, my partner, my fiance, actually, she left one of the hospitals here 3 years ago and joined me. So now we added another podiatrist to the team. And actually, a colleague that's out in Portland, who's a residency director out there, who I did a medical mission in Mexico 2 years ago. I did a medical mission with him. He is applying for his Colorado license right now, and he'll be flying out here once a month to help provide additional complex surgical options for patients that need ankle replacements or more advanced cases. So we are growing our foot and ankle services and adding other foot and ankle providers. But then at the same time, tomorrow we're doing a walkthrough on a bigger building, and we're going to be doing that walkthrough with a physical therapist and 2 naturopath doctors that we'll be looking to add to our team, along with massage therapy and chiropractor. And ultimately, the goal of my practice is to grow a multidisciplinary team that treats mind, body, and spirit, that works collaboratively with each other, primarily focused on patient care, not insurance or finance, but just patient care. And whether a patient has a head, neck, back, foot, or ankle issue, whether it's GI, whether it's what they're eating or drinking, or it's physical therapy, or whether they're sick or they're trying to stay well, our idea is let's have meditation, let's have yoga, let's have an outdoor biking track, let's have an outdoor hiking track, let's have a swimming pool in-house so that people with end-stage arthritis can stay active without accelerating the arthritis in their ankle. Let's have a climbing wall inside of our facility. Let's have every specialist under one roof, none of which take insurance, so there's no corruption with a third party, and we all just focus on patient care. And that's probably going to be like a 10-15 year vision. That's a bigger one. But our lease is up May of 2027. We are looking to move into a bigger facility with more providers, slowly looking to grow that vision.
It sounds fantastic.
It's
I'm
been
looking
fun.
forward to hearing more about it. Yeah,
It's
it's
been
great.
fun. It's been
It's
fun.
not easy running a business, you know. There's so many ups and downs, and you've got to kind of have, I think, that mission of what you're really trying to achieve to convince yourself to continue going when it's going really tough. Um, I wanted to ask you to kind of move a little bit more to the everyday person, right, as opposed to the healthcare clinic owner or practitioner. What? Because some people who listen to this, they just, are interested in healthcare. I suppose your podcast is going to cover it, which is awesome. People should definitely check in for that. What what should I be doing? I'm just going to bring it to myself. Forget about everyone else, actually. What should I be doing to be looking after my feet and my ankles, the foundations of my house?
That's a complex question. It's because for me, every foot, every ankle, every patient is different. And I am a minimalist too. So I believe in barefoot walking. I believe in barefoot running. But these are, it has, when I look at an x-ray or a foot structure, I'm looking at it like a blueprint. When I take my x-rays in a standard position, I'm measuring out angles, I'm looking at alignment and positioning and congruency. And if everything looks right, if my foundation is like this, the walls are parallel and perpendicular and the windows are parallel and perpendicular, then I can coach people on getting out of inserts, orthotics, or shoes, and how to gradually. I think that's the biggest thing, gradually.
Mm,
If you want to be healthy, it's you either take a pill and it'll make you feel better now, but wait for the side effect later, or you got to be start putting the work in and start making the changes now. But it's got to be gradual. It's the patients that are like, oh, I'm going to be healthy. Let me start running 5 miles a day. It's like, cool. I'll see you next week for a stress fracture. So it's all about just gradual patience and gradual improvement and advancement of activity for people that have bad feet or ankles, whatever your diagnosis you want to throw on that. I usually say, you know what, swim, 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 swim. Your body weight, when you're standing on a scale, that's your static body weight. But when you're actually have kinetic energy come into it, you're walking, running, hiking, getting in and out of a car, up and down stairs, whatever, your body weight's multiplied between 2 and 7 times your body weight every step you take. So if somebody has a tendon or a ligament in the foot and ankle that's not happy, or they have end stage arthritis, I don't want to load that structure with 1,000 pounds of pressure every step they take. I mean, how many steps a day do you take, and then multiply that by 1,000 pounds per step? That's what you're doing to your foot.
yeah,
So for
wow.
so for me, I kind of simplify it of like I like to make the analogy for patients when I do. They're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Like imagine a pitcher in baseball. They have a bad shoulder and they want it to get better. If they go out and they just keep pitching, 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 pitching day after day after day, I don't expect the shoulder to get better. So what they usually do is they'll take the pitcher, put him in a sling, ice it, rest it, gradually get him out of the string, do some PT, and then get back to pitching. Same thing in the foot and ankle. It's like if your foot and ankle is really hurting you, number one, get off the foot and ankle, let it rest. If you need to be active, swim, 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 depending on the injury. If it's like a tendon, ligament injury, you might not want to do that right away, but stress fractures, other things, swim, swim, or bike, because bike is no impact. Swim is no impact. It's a lot of motion, it's a lot of strengthening, but it's not high impact. It's not going to exacerbate arthritis. So I'm big into swimming, biking to get the cardio up, to get the muscle strength up, to get you a little bit used to moving the body and get you healthy. And at the same time, let's look at what's under. Let's take the x-rays, let's do the physical exam, let's do the gait analysis, let's look at what our house, what our structure actually looks like. Are you here, are you here, are you here, are you here, are you here? How much support do we actually need to hold up that infrastructure? So that, because for instance, like your posterior tibial tendon, that's a tendon that holds up your arch. If your arch is nice and straight and it's perfect, well, then that tendon has a really easy job holding up that 2x4. But if your arch is like this, that tendon's not designed to hold up a 2x4 like that. It's going to struggle and it's going to tear and rip. So then you'd want to get something under the foot to hold it up to offload the tendon there. So I'm big into activity modification so that you're not continuing to traumatize and injure the structures that are already hurting you. And then evaluating the foot structure and looking at what kind of a foundation we have and what kind of a structure is affected, and then putting in place a proper shoe. That's the foundation to our house. And an insert that goes in that shoe that is properly fit for the patient's foot structure and medical condition. So it's shoe supports insert, insert supports foot. Now the foot can rest and we can offload it and support and stabilize, and then we can augment with other treatments. And a lot of people don't need anything more than that.
Mm. Even if they don't have anything wrong. Well, on this podcast, I often leave thinking I need to look into like whatever it is, the specialism that they do. I think, oh, I need to go to a podiatrist and get the right orthotics or whatever it is. Because I just wear Converse, or smart shoes.
But that's fine. If your house is like that, then Converse is great because that's a minimalistic shoe. There's no arch support, super flexible. Your foot's going to stay honest. All the tendons, all the ligaments, all the joints, all the bones, they're all going to be getting loaded pretty naturally and having to do their work pretty regularly to the point where you're hopefully keeping a healthy foot structure. If you overload it or you stress something or sprain or tear it, now you might need to pay attention to your shoes and inserts. And I
Mm,
think that's most of what I do. I don't That's a huge part of what I do is just enlightening the patient of like, you're going to be fine. You just need to give it a second and make sure you offload this. I read a book a long time ago that is in the 1880s. It was written, and it talks about the job of a really good doc is to find the 80 to 90% of patients that you don't need to intervene. You don't need to inject or cut or prescribe or do anything with. You just need to diagnose them, advise them, and then console them that they're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. This is fine. You'll see this through. And then finding the 10 to 20% that you're like, okay, we got to like do some stuff here. So most of my patients, I just am an advice. I changed my mindset. 10 years ago, I was a surgeon. I was coming out of residency. I was a surgeon. That's not anymore. I'm a consultant. I'm an advisor. I'm an educator. I do surgery, but that's not my main role. There's enough surgeons in the United States. What patients don't have are advisors and consultants. If I'm going to look to buy a house, I'm going to want to sit down with the real estate agent for an hour or two. I'm going to want somebody to come and this is a very big purchase for me. So I'm going to want to spend some time, spend some energy, have some specialists, maybe spend some money to investigate and make sure I'm doing the right thing. Why don't we treat our health the same way? If you can't walk, yeah, it might cost you a couple $100 and insurance might not pay for it, but find the right person that's going to do the right job and allocate some time to it and treat it seriously. And you'll probably get better a lot faster than if you hop into the insurance pool and take that ride.
mm. It's so interesting because we have our own quirks in the UK for our healthcare systems. I mean, we have a state-funded one, but it's funded obviously by taxes. And that's where all those kind of complications come in. You just have a really, really short, you have to go through the phone nowadays to get the appointment. Then you have a window where they'll call you if they do call you for a short minute. And, then if you're lucky, they might bring you in, but then and then if you need a specialist, then you could be looking for like a year before you even get into there. So the private market is really big, and it's just if you have the money. But if you do have the money, then you're definitely not worrying about thinking, oh yeah, I really want my insurance to work through that. I'm just if I have a
But
problem,
that's
the first thing I'm doing is going there.
but that's where then it's the responsibility of the healthcare provider to because anybody who gets in the healthcare just for money, shame on you. Healthcare is sacred. You're somebody's trusting you with their body and they're asking you to help them get well. If you're treating it primarily as a financial transaction, shame on you. You shouldn't be in medicine for money. I do what I do not for the money, but so that I can practice medicine the way I want, the way I think it should be practiced. But unfortunately, that means there's a huge patient demographic that just can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
So then how do you address that? Okay, well, which I don't want to get on this topic, but if churches are telling you to tithe 5% or 10%, Well, then why should docs and their healthcare be any different? Why can't I give 1 day a month into the community and see folks for free and ask that they donate to a nonprofit? Outside of me donating my time, which we should do anyways, there's absolutely no downside. And now anybody who can't find time with a provider can go to Catholic Outreach third Wednesday of every month from 8:30 to 11, or they can call my office and get on my community clinic from 11:30 to 2:30. And I'm happy to see people and provide free care, but I do ask that they donate something to a nonprofit so they pay it forward. And outside of me spending 1 day a month helping people, it doesn't cost me a whole lot. And now a problem exists until somebody can think of a solution. And healthcare has a huge problem right now. It's a crisis. And you have all the doctors and other providers, nurses, nurse practitioners, and PAs, all of them, whatever, any specialists. We're all in the same system. We're all looking at each other going, this system sucks. We need to fix it. And we're looking around going, well, maybe Uncle Sam will fix it. Maybe Trump will fix it. Or maybe the hospitals will fix it. Well, hospitals are profit driven, by the way. They're a business. Maybe the insurance companies will fix it. They're also profit driven and they're a business. They're looking at profits, not patient care. Maybe pharmaceutical companies will help. That's who will help for sure. No, I don't think so. So we're all in this system that kind of sucks. And you're looking outside the system, waiting for somebody to fix it. And at some point, it's like, no, we need to fix it. We just need to figure out how. And I'm trying to do the best that I can do where I'm at with the resources I have to try to fix it. And it might not fix it for everybody. It might not work for everybody. It might not work for every specialty, but where I live and for what I do and for the patients I come in contact with, it works very well. And for the patients that can't afford it, I do the best I can to try to carve out other options so that they can still receive care and still get advice if they can't find it elsewhere. And if you assemble a whole team of different providers who subscribe to the same philosophy of we're not here for money, we're here to provide care, and we're going to donate 1 day of our time each month to go out and provide care, then you do have something that might change the healthcare system from the inside out. And that's what I'm curious. I'm 41, so I'm like, man, what can I do in the next 20 to 30 years? If you get the right people, can you change it? I don't know, maybe. But what else are you going to do?
And you can make a big impact in your own community, even if you can't change the whole United States. You can make a difference. It's like even your community clinic that can make a big difference to just one person. And like, how big a difference do you need to make? Do you need to be the guy who moves us all to Mars, or can you be the guy who helps one person with their housing?
Well, or if you can figure out the system that other people can employ, that's good enough.
Yeah, that's
If
true as
this
well.
can if this can pop up in Chicago and LA, New York, and all across the US where there's clinics similar to mine that like, yeah, we don't take insurance, but we do volunteer our time once a month and we do, you know, a lot of the stuff that people suffer from, if a doc had done it right the first time, they wouldn't be suffering from it. Maybe if everyone does it this way, maybe we don't have 5,000 people waiting to see a doctor. Maybe there's only 50 because everyone else got fixed the first time.
Mm, yeah. And the crazy thing about your setup is because of the insurance companies, it's like you've got the consolidation of all these different small clinics because it just doesn't really, it's like you said at the top of the podcast, it becomes not viable for people. It's really hard to run it. So then, the bigger players come and buy them up and give a nice payout so they can finish, and then they get an okay deal with the insurers because they're a much bigger player. So it kind of
Yeah.
is favorable for them. But
Well,
we certainly can't get into. Go on.
I just read last night that 1/3 of all practices that open these days won't survive for 2 years. 1/3.
Wow.
And then for those that are left, only 50% are going to last for 6 years. So what they're basically saying is 2/3 of all medical practices that open are going to close within 6 years. And you're looking at how reimbursement is going down, how overhead is going up, and how the mandates and restrictions are going up, and how our workload is going up. And I don't think those numbers are going to get better. And the problem
Mm,
is once you lose an independent, free-thinking physician and you now employ them through a hospital that tells them how many patients a day they need to see and how fast they need to move and how many, it's called RVUs. That's how we determine how productive a provider is in the hospital. We call them RVUs. Once you have somebody dictating how many RVUs or surgeries or referrals or MRIs, now the podiatrist is not working for the patient anymore. They're working for a hospital that is looking at the finances and trying to. So for me, maintaining independence for practitioners is very important because once you lose that, I don't want to go see a doctor. I don't want to see a doctor now. I'm worried about seeing a doctor now. And if it keeps going the way it's going, man, I really am going to struggle in another 10 to 20 years finding a doctor.
Gosh, bleak outlook. But you're making the difference. So here we go. And someone else can listen to this and hopefully go and make the difference too. Okay,
Well,
well, one last,
you know burnout rates are historic right now in the US for healthcare.
I bet. It's the same with
If
the
you
education system in the UK. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Yeah, it's astronomical. We have a huge deficiency. We're already 2,800 podiatrists short in the US right now. In the year 2038, they're suggesting over 5,000 podiatrists short in the US. And
Wow.
meanwhile, we haven't a lot. This is a historic rate of burnout for physicians. Over 70% of physicians are burned out or unhappy. If you go and you see somebody and they're burned out and unhappy, what kind of care do you think you're going to get?
Yeah. That's the same with the teaching as well. Imagine you're sending your kids to a school and these
Mhm.
teachers, I mean, obviously there's some that are a bit of a bad breed, but a lot of them, they're just exhausted. They're so exhausted. How are they
Yeah,
going to help your kid?
yeah, yeah. Same thing.
That's wild. All right, look, Joe, we're coming towards the end, so I'm going to ask you this one question. If we go back to 2007, if I hopefully I got the date right, which is when you went and jumped ship and said you're going to set up this clinic, and you could just go there for a quick 1 second, you pop there and you see Joe from 2007, and you could just say one quick thing to him, and it's not allowed to be, go and invest in Bitcoin or whatever. It has to be clinic related, or like lifestyle, mindset related. What would you say to him before you just come back to this moment?
Thankfully, my fiance, my partner, Dr. Moore, was telling me it at the time. I would have told myself, you're doing the right thing. Trust yourself, trust the process, trust your patients, trust that you're doing the right thing for medicine because it was scary. It was so scary. You mentioned other providers leaving. It was so scary. And I was like, I don't think I can do it. I don't know if patients will actually pay me to see me when insurance will cover it. I don't know if this is going to work. I'm terrified. I have 3 kids. I have to, like, this is terrifying to me. And now not quite 5 years. So September 7th, 2021, that was the day.
Oh,
I
21,
wish
I
I
got
could
way
like
off.
I wish I could have told myself like you're going to be fine. This is what people need. This is what the healthcare system needs. This is a solution to a problem. We've already exceeded our goal and surpassed it by far to the point where now we're like, okay, let's expand it to other specialists. Let's expand it to let's get mind, body, and spirit. Let's get not just fixing people when they're hurt and sick and scared and damaged. How can we create a wellness center that keeps people healthy, that keeps people from getting that place? So now the idea has grown because of the success. But man, 5 years ago, I was, I was terrified. It was terrifying. And thankfully, Dr. Moore, my better half, she was like, you're good at what you do and it's going to be fine. You got to trust it. But I wish I could have gone back and said, just chill. It's going to be great. Just give it some time.
I love it. Well, congratulations as well for getting
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
engaged. That's a great moment. Yeah, it's big celebration. I think that's just such a lovely thing. I don't think enough people are talking about that at the moment, so I'm just going to quickly say it. I think that is lovely, and it must have been a really
Thank you.
lovely thing, and I'm happy for you. So congratulations there. I wanted to also mention this book, which I happen to have up here because we mentioned books a couple of times. This guy called Jeff Olson. He wrote this book called The Slight Edge. I read it a bunch of years ago. I do think about it sometimes, but it just made me think about it when you said it. Things take time, and when you just make those small differences, that's what he's saying. It's the slight edge. You make that 1% difference today, and it's a bit like if you take off a plane and it's on a 1% different course, by the time it lands it's on a completely different location.
Like that.
And these things take time, and sometimes at the beginning it feels like it's not making a difference, a bit like with your health. But just make that small thing, and in the end you will have had this huge edge. That's basically what the book is saying, so you can kind of skip it, but I think it's a good book and I'd recommend it to anyone who watches it. Cool. Well, Joe, thank you so much for today. I really appreciate it. And all the listeners, thank you for listening in. You definitely have to pay the tax because that was a good one from Joe, 100%. So take the link, hit the bell, whatever it is on YouTube, go and share it. Um,
Can I
Spread the
get two
word out there.
seconds? Two
100%.
seconds.
Yeah, we've got to go
Two
back to
seconds.
Joe because
I'm gonna leave
you
you with
also need
this.
to plug your stuff. Go on.
If you have a foot and ankle issue, think shoes, inserts, and stretch the Achilles tendon. And if you're trying to get more active and trying to get healthy, start by getting off the couch, walk outside, walk around your block once, and then sit down and rest and see how you feel the next day. And if you feel okay, try doing it again the next day. And maybe every couple weeks, add an extra lap around the block and you'll be great. That's it. It's easy.
Oh, man. Good
Sorry.
stuff.
I just,
No,
you asked
no,
me that
no, at
question. I
all.
wanted to be
Well,
like clear. It's like, yeah.
I was going to send it back to you anyway, because how can people, if they want to find out more about what you're doing with your clinic or your podcast, or like where they can find you online, or if they have any direct questions, anything like that, how can people find out more?
Oh, I love that. So our practice is Colorado Foot and Ankle Wellness. We are very much a ma and pa, and we are changing our infrastructure and our EMR actually right now. So there's some glitches with that stuff. But Colorado Foot and Ankle Wellness. My name is Joe Dahlin, Dr. Dahlin. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. And our podcast that we're hoping to launch either this month or next is going to be called Friday After Clinic. And it's meant to be a resource for people with direct care medicine questions, foot and ankle questions, or nutrition functional medicine questions. So yeah, if you guys